to the Campus Ministry Center. My name is Gavin Buttafuoco. I am the president here of Campus Ministry. Very excited for tonight. Just a little bit about Open Table. Open Table is something we have here at Providence College. Bi-weekly event. We say our motto is come for dinner and stay for wisdom. We're very excited to have this Christie lecture. Just a brief announcement about Campus Ministry. We are in full swing of things, so I'd invite everybody to please, if you haven't already, go follow our Instagram page at PC Camp Min, and to feel free to check out any of the bulletin boards you see all around here in Camp Min to look at different ways to get involved. With that, I would like to introduce Father Thomas Moore Garrett, the Executive Vice President here at PC.
Let me welcome you all to the first William J. and Marianne M. Christie lecture of the 2025-26 academic year. I want to thank Providence College's very good friends, Bill and Marianne Christie. Bill and Marianne are joining us tonight via a live stream link. And on behalf of the college, I want to thank you both once again. And it was good to see you, Bill and Marianne, on Friday night. Before I introduce our speaker, I want to acknowledge a special guest, former U.S. Ambassador Pamela Bridgewater. Ambassador Bridgewater has a long and distinguished career in the U.S. State Department, having served as ambassador to Jamaica, Ghana, and Benin, where she met our speaker. Prior to becoming ambassador to Benin in November of 2000, Ambassador Bridgewater served a lengthy stint in different roles as part of the State Department's mission in South Africa, where she worked with Nelson Mandela during South Africa's transition from apartheid. Ambassador Bridgewater recently published her memoirs titled Bridging Troubled Waters. Thank you, Ambassador, for joining us, and welcome to Providence College. Our speaker tonight is a Dominican confrere, Father Godfrey Nzamujo. Father Godfrey is a priest, scientist, and innovator, and founder and director of the Songhai Centre in Benin in West Africa, or Benin as many English speakers pronounce the name. Trained in microbiology, engineering, and development science, Father Godfrey has dedicated his life to building an integrated model of sustainable agriculture, entrepreneurship, and community development that has been recognized across Africa and around the world. Rooted in Dominican spirituality and a commitment to human dignity, the Songhai Centre empowers local communities to cultivate not only food, but also hope, opportunity, and a new vision for integral ecology. Father Godfrey has been a research fellow and professor at UC Irvine and associate professor of engineering at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. There are a whole host of accolades that I could add, but let me simply just introduce to you Father Godfrey Nzamujo.
Thank you very much, Father Thomas Moore. I would like to say special thanks to my big sister, Ambassador Bridgewater. Thank you so much for coming today. And my brothers, Dominicans, thank you so much for making me a part of this event today. I'm going to start by, because this is a university, Dominican University, so I would like to start by the young people here, the freshmen. I said, well, you're stepping into a tradition, the university, to understand what it really means. Why are you here? I would like to throw you back in the beginning, the 13th century, where it all started. There was a lot of confusion. The authority then that was leading the world was the church. But the church was getting weaker. Most of the priesthood preaching were even uneducated. The other side coming out from Greece, the Greek philosophers coming, creating a new wave of people who were transforming the society. Everywhere going. So there was polarization everywhere, just like here. That's how the university started. In those days, there were big intellectuals, philosophers, theologians, scientists growing up. Very brilliant people. They were the masters. And they were under princes, all the rulers of this thing. They were under the protection. They were given cheers. That's why professors have cheers. So you have this magister, that's the master, with all his followers in different corners, and people were sending their students over there. But the influence was limited. And all of a sudden, they say, we have more influence if we get all those people together, all the magisters, that's the magistry, and their followers, all together. It was around Bologna, Oxford, and Paris, where it would root. So it became a collection, what they call Universitas Magistrorum Scholarium, a community of scholars, of masters and their followers. That's how, instead of being protected by one prince, they occupied a space where they had the liberty, and then they started influencing the world. So you are stepping into a powerful guild, a powerful club of people who change the world. So the university means a community of masters and all those working together to create a new awareness, to influence the society, to transform the society. Universitas Magistrorum Scholarium. So this phrase embodied the Dominican conviction that truth is communal. Knowledge is not owned, it is shared. Masters and the students form a living ecosystem of inquiry. A universitas, in its proper sense, is where teaching and learning are reciprocal acts of contemplation and transmission, from where contemplata alis tradere. So those powerhouses dug into to create new visions, new ideas. It was so powerful, they couldn't hold it. It comes out. That was the Dominican. So we were the heart of the universities. That was the center of it. And that's why we are today. Now, in that 13th century, St. Dominic perceived with prophetic clarity that the gospel was so powerful, not a relic, to be guarded behind cloisters or confined in the pulpits. It was a living, regenerative force, the gospel, we saw it. So it wasn't afraid. It was powerful enough to illuminate the emerging space of thought, culture, science, and politics. That was the idea of St. Dominic. He believed in the gospel. It was so powerful that he was able to illuminate, to transform, to be the engine of contemplation within that space of the emerging science, Aristotle, and the rest of them. That truth could become the leaven of humanity and lay the foundation of a civilization that will please God. That orientation, all the human act, all the thing, it was all lined up to that one, the pleroma. This conviction gave rise to the rhythm that has defined us as Dominicans ever since then. Contemplata alis tradere, to hand on to others the fruit of contemplation. Contemplation is not escape. It is the fruit of that immersion in the arena arena animated by the gospel that is made public now. That is the force of the gospel. And that has put Dominicans not to the margins, but into the engine rooms of their time. The universities used to be engine rooms of transformation. The courts, they were everywhere. Marketplaces and centers of power. That same rhythm still calls us today. But our arena now has shifted. If Dominic's Areopagus was Paris or Bologna or Oxford, ours now is the digital platform, laboratories of biotechnology, ecological frontiers, and the networks where global futures are negotiated. This is the new arena. The challenge is not nostalgia, the challenge is not nostalgia, but presence. Nihil humani a me alienum puto. Nothing human is alien to the Dominican. But the question is now, how do we bring these forces into this new crucibles? How do we let contemplation overflow into the structures of the society to transform them? Dominic equally understood that preaching could not rely on piety alone. It required intellectual credibility and cultural competence. This is why he sent his brothers into the universities of Paris, Bologna, Oxford. Turbulent arena, they were turbulent arenas where Aristotle was being rediscovered. It was changing, just like AI. Theology was contested, and new sciences were emerging. This was the context of the growth of the Dominican order. The same thing today. The Friars entered these spaces, not as spectators, not even as chaplains, but as participants. The disputation, the lectures, the debates, this became the pulpit of their mission. Cloistered silence spilled into public dialogue. The rhythm of contemplation became disputation. Dominic's Areopagus was not the safety of the convent walls, but the storm of contested truth. That was the Dominican order in those days. The presence can be captured. This type of presence can be captured by that famous saying of Theodore Roosevelt, the famous image of the man in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, he says. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. Can the Dominicans and all of you in the Dominican University reoccupy the arena? Can you become the faces that are made by dust and sweat and blood? This is the Dominican vocation, not the critic who sneers from the sideline, but the one who risks truth in public, whose study and prayers are tested in real encounters. The Dominican scholar is not a recluse of books, but a combatant in the arena, like St. Paul in the Areopagus, speaking courageously into the spaces where world views collide to usher in a new world order we now know as Christianity. A new world order is catching. New wine in a new wineskin. Are we going to be a part of building a new wineskin? The vocation has left its mark across the Dominican vocation. Thomas Aquinas engaged Aristotle not to reject him, but to transfigure him, widening the grammar of theology so faith and reason could converge That was the Dominicans yesterday. St. Albert the Great, my favorite, the great scientist, explored the science of his time, refusing to draw boundaries between revelation and reality, insisting instead that truth is one. Bartolomé de las Casas confronted the empires, defending the dignity of indigenous people against the machinery of conquest. Each one embodied the Dominican rhythm: contemplation maturing into action, veritas reshaping structure, truth engaging power. This is the Dominican vocation. This, as members of the Dominican family, this is our vocation. Today, our arenas are different, but nonetheless decisive. Digital media and AI, where truth and falsehood compete for dominance in real time. Science and technology, where the very definition of life and intelligence is contested today. Politics and economics, where financial flows determine who eats, who heals, who learns. Ecological systems, where the fragility of creation confronts us with stark choices of survival and solidarity. This is our world. The triple challenge, all of them at the same time. This is our world. These are the new Areopagi, as you like it now. And the Dominican mission remains what? To bring the fruit of those intellectual power, spiritual, all of them we call contemplation, into the places where tomorrow is being born. Are we going to be midwives of tomorrow? The Dominicans are midwives of a new world. For St. Dominic, preaching was never confined to pulpits. The university itself became his areopagus, the public arena where the gospel was tested against the most searching questions of the age. The friars did not fear disputatio. They welcomed it. They understood that truth shines most brightly when exposed to scrutiny, dialogue, and even opposition. Albert the Great entered the sciences not to sprinkle piety on techniques, but to probe reality's depths with fearless curiosity. Thomas Aquinas engaged Aristotle not to reject him, but to transfigure him, baptizing reason itself so that intellect and revelation could be woven into a single coherent vision of reality. Their courage not simply comment on sin on the world. It reordered intellectual horizons. They gave both church and humanity a new grammar for faith and reason, contemplation and action. Again, contemplata alis tradere, to scale. Today, however, the lecture hall is no longer the sole forge of culture. New crucibles have emerged. The digital platform where truth and falsehood race for dominance, financial system, all of them, all these are the modern type of things. The Second Vatican Council, again, we have a lot in that one. A new system of things, a new social order. Our church is really rich with that. I'm going to take example, the Gaudium et Spes, the Second Vatican Council. It says simply that we are inside it. The joys and the hopes, the griefs and the anxieties of the people of this age are the joys and the hopes, the griefs and the anxieties of the followers of Christ. Our task, therefore, is not nostalgia but presence. We are not called to repeat those past things, to misdemean all of them, but to inhabit the living laboratories where tomorrow is being born. My mental tired shudder, seduction resounds with urgency. Consecrate every human endeavor to God. That is powerful. In the Dominican terms, this means contemplation must not stop at words. It must become design, governance, architecture, institution. It must take flesh as contemplata allustradore in the form of the system that sustains lives. This is, I was talking with my friend Bob the other time about cathedral building. The stone cutter was interviewing the builders. The stone cutter said, I'm a good stone cutter. I make my living. And he's satisfied. Another one said, look, I need to do this job because I need to feed my family. And it was good. But the third person said, look, I'm a stone cutter. And my action is very, very important to build that beautiful cathedral for worship. This is very important. Why are we in the universities? To get a degree and get a job? No. We are here, we become what I call bees in the economy of bees. The bee goes to get nectar, yes. But in getting the nectar, the bee pollinates thousands of plants. This is a new way of thinking. Going to the university is not just to finish and get a job. But yes, to get a job, get a better living. But in getting that, we are transforming, building our world. This is the new mission of the Dominicans of the universities today. The bee economy, the butterfly economy. We must go in that hidden one, personal thing, individualism. This is a new way of thinking. Here lies the deeper mystery. When we orient our work like that cutter, our programs, and even the natural presence of creation towards the big goal, the fullness, the pleroma, they themselves become divinized. If we orient all our mission, everything, towards that big goal, then that labor becomes liturgy, program becomes prayer, and progress becomes pilgrimage. In this way, all human activity, no matter how small, rightly directed, no matter how big, whatever you think, even smiling, will participate in sanctification. This is the new way. Everything we do, everything becomes sacred. This, we are returning, this is, I've come to bring the good news. This is it. It is our intention, how we do it, because the world belongs to God. We're part of the creation. He gave us the power to continue. The creation hasn't finished. Every act we do, with sanctification, the matter, everything becomes sacred. Everything becomes liturgy. The worship of God through the transformation of our world, everything you're doing. And I would like to show you this part of the video, what to really, please, can you dim the light a little bit to show you what are we now doing over there? Just a few minutes. If you can dim the light, to share with you. I'll be making how we're able to transform bad thing from waste to wealth. The land was dead before. But you see what we're doing now, growing fish from the algae, you're going to be seeing what is going on. A small space. The land, when I took it about 40 years, was gone. Couldn't. But deploying the new energy, we call it environmental capital, and aligning them, we're able to grow food. This is what to be seen here. But how are we achieving it? It's from waste to wealth. We are making the cost of production elastic. Energy free, and those sort of things. And we face thousands, all this disappearing. That's what is going on from a dead land. This is the multiplication of the fish, of the fish. Now, how does it come? This is the algae. The algae here you see, dirty green water. We call it photoautotrophic. All it is pulling the carbon from the air and the solar energy to producing. We call it the algae, the phytoplankton. And then the daphne, the small thing, crayfish, and then they eat them. They multiply about 3 a day. Incredible. That's the force of nature. We call it environmental capital. So from the dirty algae that is grown from the carbon dioxide from the air, and this, we produce thousands of them. Look at what is going on from the algae. So the new biology, we're now using this this is the new thing bring over there. What people talk away. And you see what it goes. So from there now, we are harnessing the solar energy, becomes infinite. So it becomes the means of production because, look at another one. It grows, harvests 1/3 every week, it grows back again because they are capturing up to 80% of the solar energy, pulling the carbon from the air and growing, and it's 42% protein. We use it to feed our pigs, our chicken, so it's just growing out of nothing. This is what science is doing. So that's the biotechnology. We call it the carbon, harnessing what goes environmental capital of the world. So now we can now feed our animals, feed our plant. This grows back the few days afterwards. As you can see, keep on going. So this is unlocking the environmental capital of our world today in a way that is sustainable. Look at it now. I do that every time, and I'm going to be using it now to feed our chicken, our pigs. Now we see now this, the daphne. They're taking the algae now. Look at, we're now using them to feed small babies fish. Look at them, see what they're doing. And then survival is very high. So we are multiplying. We are producing more and better with less. That's what's going on. And the growth is extraordinary without spending any money. So this is the new way we're now harnessing God's gift over there that we're now using. So this is, now look at what is going on. And now see the fish now eating all of them because it's very rich. Instead of importing, destroying the environment, you see that's what is going on. We're just capturing the carbon dioxide from the air, the solar energy, and now this good. So that's why we are pulling out tons of fish. So we are transforming penury into a logic of abundance. This is that multiplication talked about in the Bible. When we harness the God's given capital that we're giving us. So that's all the fish that you've seen over there. And then another thing you're going to see now in the abattoirs in the third world is where smelling like crazy. But we have coupled the waste hotspot like abattoir, all the waste. Look at it. I'm sorry you're eating now. All the blood meal is now flowing. You see, now look at the fish having national conference, and cleaning them up. It's Red Sea, but a few minutes, everything is gone. So again, we call it from waste to wealth, from waste to wealth. And that's the new logic. I'm just giving you as an example. That's the new logic. And this is what is happening everywhere. Nothing is wasted. Nothing. As Songhai, the piggery, you can have your dinner and lunch there, nothing. Because we have deployed the bacteria to clean up everything, reverse. We're not wasting anything. Waste, God does not create waste. We create waste. So a small land, when I started 40 years ago, that couldn't grow even weed. It was dead. We are producing all year round. Ambassador Bridgewater will tell you that one, all year round. So this is again what energy pathway in the water. To give you an example of what you can do, that place was dead. It couldn't grow anything because of the conventional agriculture. We are producing all year round. And the most important thing that you see in that place, the fallow is about 4 years, but now only 2 weeks, the land becomes regenerative. So instead of, then the next one now to complete this thing. Now this is what you see now, Songhai. We're telling you how. Now look at what is going on. We got a good of Songhai. This was dead land before, I've told you, couldn't grow anything. But because of this technology, it's an university of sustainable development where we are harnessing these new technologies now. You see, this is what is Songhai. Linking every place, have tons of them. All those trucks are used trucks, we repair them there. We take broken trucks from everywhere. The young people bring it over there. So a system of production producing more and better with less. Everything is recycled. Look at what is going. Nothing is wasted. The waste from one section becomes input in another section, and that's what we're coupling the waste hotspot and this. At Songhai, we don't smell anything at all. Nothing. So now let's look at them one by one. Look at the primary production, which is crop. We're not caressing poverty. Look at the productivity side. Look at how it is. The purple. No chemical, no pesticides, and this is what is going on. Look at the yams. The straws there is a fertilizer. Look at the size of them now. So who know yam in West Africa? Look at them. But look at the faces of these young people. That's the pride. Look at the production. And we produce all year round. So because we're changing that logic of poverty into the logic of abundance, because we've deconstructed the mind of the people and we're re-equipping them. Look at the cassava. That normally you get the cassava about 10, 20 tons per hectare. We are getting 75 tons per hectare. And the land is still regenerative because we deployed all the microbes working for us. Even flies, house flies, they work even on Sundays, on Christmas days, and they don't complain. Now, look at all this, the animals. All their droppings and the urine, we now use them to grow the grass, and again, we come back again, so nothing is wasted. So this is what is happening over there. The aquaculture, look at that. Are you showing it already? Where there was no water, all the recycled water we use them now to grow the tree. And this water now, rich water, we now buy solar, we pump it now for irrigating. So the water is rich now, we don't need any chemical fertilizer. And then this is what you're seeing over there. Now look at the energy scene, their own design. So we made raw material elastic, also energy, another type of production, keep track production. And these young people are now learning. So the two branches of production, elements of production, raw materials and energy become elastic. Therefore, the sky is now the limit. So this is how we are attacking this environmental problem. So at the same time, we are attacking the triple challenge of poverty, food insecurity, and environmental degradation with this development. Now, we're now building, these young people are now building their own machine from scraps. All the broken cars, beer cans, we melt them to build, all from thrown away machines, the beer can people throw away, we use them now to build our own machine. See the industry? All these bottles are recycled. That was starting when Ambassador Bridgewater was just about to leave, okay? That's when we started over there. Now, we won the first prize in Vienna. And then that's what is going on. So from there, you see, we produce, we process, and we market. So this is what is going on at Songhai now. Even the soap, the carrot, for example, that you don't want to use, you crush the carrot and make carrot soap. Just wonderful. The girls there, if you use it, you'll be shining. It's really good. So this is what, now ecotourism. We connect with animals and the bacteria working together. So all these animals working together, rebuilding the ecosystem because all of them participate. All the animals, all of them participate in enriching the place. Also, this also hospitality. So come and choose your rooms now. So when you be coming to Songhai, those of you coming. So these are the kind of things. So with production. So this teaching of the young people. Well, now the wheat. People can't do it now. With science now, we can now have wheat 3 times a year in production of wheat. Now, this is what is going on. Let a visit of this Port Novo. Look at what is possible in a land that was dead. No chemical, no pesticides, no herbicides. We are producing all year round. Now, this is what is going on now, possible. This is Parakou, another place. We are going to different ecosystems who are now produced. As I said, there's no season. This is harvested water during rainy season. We do water harvesting because we say wealth, food, and job grow where water flows on a good soil. That's our policy. wealth, food, and job grow where water flows on a good soil. So the first in agriculture is the soil, second is the soil up to the 10. Because when the soil is alive, everything goes. And that's all the things we're doing. And they can see West Africa alone, Mr. Ambassador, is about, we are going to 500 million people very soon. The land is degrading fast. 70% degrading because of the conventional agriculture. That's a time bomb. Where the population is growing, the land is going. So what we are doing is now work with the land in such a way and reverse it, so that the land can produce more and better with regenerative land. That's how we can avoid this problem today, and through science and this way of looking. So again, what we are doing with about 20 hectares, we're now doing with maybe about 1 hectare, because the soil is now regenerative. Then we're deploying the microorganism, the fungus, all of them working together, creating synergy. 2 plus 2 is not 4. 2 plus 2 is 10. In a systemic thing where we're building, which is biomimicry, we are imitating nature and multiplying the human capacity and the natural capacity, the synergy. So again, this is the new Arapa, this is the new tools we are deploying now to save humanity, to environment like louder to see most of you. Look at the productivity for that. So this is what is going on. All that is going on. Now, this is production everywhere. And of course, the input is very low. You call it low input. Look at processing. We're now processing them. Look at what is going on. These are young graduates who are making money and who are happy because they're not just making money, they are changing the society. This is the beauty of it. And now they're distributing to the hotels, everybody. And nobody wants now. So people are coming back to the villages, to the rural areas, instead of vegetating the cities and getting to be drowned in a Mediterranean Ocean. So this is really what is happening today. Look at what is going, dead land with straws. Look at the straws. We don't burn them. Put them down, and the microorganism and the fungus, the whole thing becomes a symphony again. So this is what is going on at Songhai today. Voila. So this again, what is possible if we attack this one? So for what is seen now, the question presses upon us now. Who will be the new Thomas Aquinas among you? The new Albert and Las Casas, who will enter these new arenas, this digital, ecological, economic, as you see here, not to bless them from a distance, but to reorder them from within, who will have the courage to stand at the modern Areopagus, where gospel and world will wrestle, and let truth shine once more. If we retreat, others will fill the void. But if we step forward, the Dominican charism can once again stand at the fault line of history, bearing the light of veritas into the crucibles where the future of humanity is being forged. Preaching to them must go beyond words. It must become architecture, governance, systemic reordering. It is not only hearts that need conversion, but structures, economies, technologies, and cultures must be redirected towards life. Only a contemplative gaze can see digital code as communication rather than domination, energy as gift rather than commodity, economy as communion rather than accumulation. At the root of our crisis, really important, is the question of epistemic fracture. We have forgotten how to learn. Can this university face it? We become homo arrogans, arrogant people who are arrogant and exploit others. But contemplation will make us homo humilians, humble people who listen, Human beings who listen and who learn. That's the key to our coming out of this crisis. If you ever watch the film My Octopus Teacher, illustrates this shift. A man broken, this man broken by life, enters the sea, not to conquer, but to dwell. An octopus becomes his teacher, revealing patience, play, resilience. Creation itself becomes pedagogy. This is biomimicry, biomimic intelligence. Learning from forests to regenerate, from bees to circulate, from rivers to carve silence, from soils to nurture reciprocity. From this humility, we discover the Dominican rhythm, contemplatives Alice Tradery, handing on others the fruit of a profession. But what about the poverty and wealth today? Modernity distorts wealth into accumulation, but hoarded wealth suffocates. Circulated wealth makes it alive. Evangelical poverty that we Dominicans profess unveils wealth's true nature, not sterile deprivation, but consecrated creativity. That's the meaning of our poverty. Bees teach us this economy, tirelessly laboring not for themselves alone, but for the hive. Honey circulates, life multiplies. So too with human wealth. It must resist enclosure. It must circulate, sustaining the commons and strengthening the margins. Wealth hoarded is idolatry. Wealth shared becomes sacrament. Poverty, rightly understood, is stewardship, ensuring the scarce resources serve communion and assent. The move from vision to practice, we need grammar, what we call as Songhai the new nexus, the carbon and biosystems, the silicon intelligence, electromechanical, all of these things is the new nexus. Now the universities here, we're doing over there. Are we ready to move? Then in conclusion, my brothers and sisters, this is Dominican challenge to them, to form missionaries of civilization, men and women who integrate faith, science, ecology, and technology so that life may flourish. In this vision, the preacher is no longer on a herald of words, but an architect of walls, a builder of regenerative communities. Authority is not eloquence alone. True authority is the ability to shape the arena where life unfolds. From Paris to Bologna to today's digital ecosystem frontiers, our vocation endures. Proclaim truths where destiny is decided. Like the man in the arena, we are called not to self-detachment, but to risky engagement. Our measure is whether we hand on what we contemplate, not as mere ideas, but as systems reordered, institutions renewed, cultures healed. The Areopagus today is everywhere. Everywhere. Let us go then to the Areopagus, not to conquer, but to consecrate, not to withdraw, but to weave, not merely to speak, but to build. Thank you very much.
So my mobility is a little limited, as you can see, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them and relay them into the microphone and ask Father Godfrey to respond. Maybe I'll start with one. You talked a little bit about your inspiration rooted in Dominican spirituality, but at the time that you were envisioning Songhai, I believe you were still teaching in the field of engineering in California. Talk to me a little bit about that spark of inspiration that caused you to move from a fairly comfortable setting in the United States back to West Africa to return to start Songhai. And then also explain to me the name of Songhai and the history of how you decided upon its upon its title?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. When I just started as a young professor in the University of California, that was the early 80s, the big drought. Remember, we are the world, we are the people. I was just a young professor. I wanted to go, they were collecting funds. I wanted to go like other people to go and request for funds. My father told me, son, if you feed a man today, you will still afraid to feed him tomorrow. But if you teach him how to fish, he will take care of himself tomorrow. But say before you go, but there's no more fish in the lakes. So even though if you teach him how to fish, he's going to catch nothing. So the crisis today is radical. The ecosystem, the economic system is bad. It has to be regenerated, done to. So that's what pushed me over there. So from there, I left, my father did. I went around Africa. When I came, particularly Congo, which I like, when I came back, I was sick. I saw that Africa was extremely rich, extremely poor. Why? The wrong economic equation. Then that's how Songhai born. Can we create a system that respects humanity and kind of thing? Can you empower? So this, for me, the development is no longer about money, even about land. It's about human beings. It's about human beings. What type of human beings? That's the question. The human beings who are deconstructed, who understand it, and who are ready to unleash the internal forces for me. Then I saw Africa, environmental capital. Can we in Africa now be able to see the possibility sex existing around us? That's the beginning of poverty. Poverty comes on one side. Our incapacity to see the possibility sex that around us. We are blind to it. Then our incapacity to develop the capacity to harness them to create goods and services that correspond to our needs and desires. This is the meaning of poverty. Let me repeat. We can't see, and we are not unable to unleash the internal powers to harness them to create goods and services that correspond to. This is what. So I came back to Africa as a scientist, as a Dominican, because that's what I was there. Can I, my physician, come back and help my people open their eyes to see what God has given them, the courage over there? This is where. And I started reading all the encyclicals, all the things. And the person that brought me is Father Lobre. That's why I changed from the Chicago Province. I'm sorry, my Chicago brothers. I changed Father Lobre, which was, he called the Pope Paul to write the encyclical, one of the encyclicals, Popularum Progressio. So it was, I went to his grave, so every kind of thing. I went to the grave of St. Thomas Aquinas and St. Albert. I went to Corn. So it was over there. I went to really old brothers. I went to their tomb. I prayed with them. I came over there. I came back to Africa and started this with 1 hectare of dead land. 1 hectare of dead land. Nothing could grow. But with this principle, within 6 months, everything went on. And then the president, Kereku, was passing during the dry season. Everywhere was gray. He saw green, that place. He said, are you that crazy man they're talking about? I said, yes, sir. And then from there, he gave us, we have 100 hectares every province now in Benin because of what we did. That was a Marxist government. Me, a Catholic priest, which he didn't have, that made us become friends together, and we're still moving to over there. The Songhai. The Songhai, the name, I was looking for a symbol. Not a return to history, but a recourse to a small ethnic group called the Songhai that created one of the biggest civilizations in the world today, the Songhai Empire. Do you know that the biggest university used to be in Africa, in Timbuktu? The richest man, even including Alemos, is an African, Mansa Musa. The richest man up to this from that region. So I wanted a symbol. The emblem of Songhai was the eagle. The eagle, Songhai eagle. The eagle signifies vision, but also action. So what was missing in African thing is vision and action. And that's what Songhai means. People with vision, not only see it, but people who have the capacity to go for it. And this is what I learned from my Dominican thing. Okay, that's what I put over there.
Father Godfrey let you in on a little secret in part of his explanation. He made a reference to papal encyclicals, many of which I'm sure that several of you are familiar with. Papal encyclicals are often issued by popes, but have the contributions of many authors. And one of the individuals that Father Godfrey referred to was a Dominican, a French Dominican priest named Father Lebret, who is believed to have been the author of what eventually became Populum Progresso. Any other questions? Let me ask you one more question about some of the items we saw on the screen. There were a number of products that Songhai evolved into producing, and some of the later pieces that you showed were light agricultural manufacturing and beverages. Tell us a little bit about the beverages you make, how they're distributed, and the future you have in mind for some of those commercial products.
Thank you very much. That's why we had a meeting today with the management, with the business administration, for us to really go. So what is really important, the African farmers used to be in the primary production producing, and they're shipping all the thing to Europe and elsewhere. So Africa has been exporting wealth, importing poverty. We want to reverse it. So what we do, we call it from the soil to the table. That's the new thing. So we start with the soil, make it very rich, we produce abundantly. But also we create job by creating the secondary production, which is manufacturing over there. And also servicing it, also commercial marketing over there. This is how we capture the wealth in everywhere. That's what we're doing. So we're now working Songhai product now with ambassador everywhere. People are coming from everywhere because it, even though it's more than 100% organic, it's cheaper. Because we've discovered here organic food is very expensive. But our own is cheap because we're not making any effort. We are dancing with nature. When you dance with nature, nature will smile at you. So again, our product, this is what so it is for healthy living, healthy aging, disease prevention. So the marketing is there, the product is there. So people come and marketplace. Every Songhai spot, there is marketplace. People come, we produce, we process, and we market them. Now, all those young boys and girls, they're everywhere now collecting all of them. So it's a big movement. So we're getting rid of the intermediaries here. So that's why we like to work with a PC, for example. How can you help us to reinforce, particularly with IT, to reinforce our capacity to distribute? First of all, to market, let people, the value propositions in what we are doing, people who help us to articulate, because we have incredible values, environmental values, but how can we package it and sell it? A lot of technologies here in the balance. So we are really, my coming here is to see how can we work together to package them. For example, we won the first prize in Vienna, all the products, because we are processing them, no chemical, no pesticide. Most of them can last for 2 years. Nothing at all. You don't need to refresh, because we've discovered a new way of doing them, new technology of doing them. And particularly if you see our soap, every kind of thing, all the product over there. So it's a one-stop shop. You arrive over, you get everything. So we're changing the whole way. So all our boys and girls everywhere in the world. We also, some people, before COVID, we had the people who had taken it to Washington, D.C. and to New York, but COVID destroyed. We're starting again now. We've gotten the license in West Africa, because West Africa is going to almost 500 million people. So we start over here and then go. So it's coming. So again, I'm making an appeal to PC. If you really have any idea, work together. We really want to reinforce our capacity in marketing, because America is capital of marketing, okay? We want to do it, because that really help us to really blow over. Because, this money, we are the rare NGOs that self-finance itself. During COVID, we grew by 4% during COVID. And people were giving money here during COVID. So this again, because it's all integrated, we produce, we process. So that circular economy is really very, very important. So we need people in the university here, particularly in business, to help us articulate it and to market it. And maybe tomorrow we'll be selling our sausages to PC, and the rest of that. Okay, and then this is it. Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Father, and to all of you here. I can testify that the products of Songhai are the best you'll ever taste. The yogurt, I asked Father to limit me to one thing. Because I could eat them all day. And I sometimes have digestive issues, and I don't have them with the Songhai yogurt. The juices are fresh. The soaps are wonderful for your skin. I know it. I've seen it grow from my time there in 2000 to 2025. When we started, the U.S. government had given us a very small amount of money from the U.S. Agency for International Development, which no longer
I would also like to add Ambassador Bridgewater help us there's Ambassador Bridgewater Technology Center. She's supporting us on that, and the Health Center. So again, thank you very much. And Ambassador Bridgewater agreed to be on our board too. So thank you so much for what you've been doing for us. Thank you.
To borrow from one of your analogies, perhaps you're something like a bee who has brought some ideas to pollinate our minds, and we will be able to collaborate on future projects with you. Thank you, and once again, please join me in thanking Father Godfrey.
Thanks so much for coming to Open Table and the Christie Lecture. We invite you to join us upstairs for night prayer. Please just take your trash and drop it in one of the trash cans by the door, and we'll start night prayer in a few minutes. Thanks so much. Please